What doesn't Bill Gates have his hands and money in? Here's 4 things you might not have known about Bill Gates. First one is he's genetically modifying mosquitoes. He recently posted this creepy video on his YouTube channel which got more downvotes than upvotes, which is part of his awareness campaign about mosquitoes. In 2018, they reported Gates Foundation awards $4.1 million for mosquito engineering. NPR explains it in more detail. Scientists have launched a major new phase in the testing of a controversial genetically modified organism, a mosquito designed to quickly spread a genetic mutation lethal to its own species, NPR has learned. Well, first of all, they called it controversial. If you say it's controversial, they'll ban you. That's a conspiracy theory. But when the experts say it's controversial, that's okay. And secondly, a mosquito designed to quickly spread a genetic mutation lethal to its own species? If they could do that to mosquitoes, could they do that to something else? Well, you're not allowed to critically think or ask questions, because asking questions or using your brain outside of what the health bureaucrats tell you to think is now a penalty that can get you banned off social media and labeled falsely a conspiracy theorist. Anyway, back to these mosquitoes. Recently, Florida says this is fine to release genetically modified mosquitoes. Isn't that just nice? So if you thought it was just vaccines and computers, you were wrong. He's involved in mosquitoes. Did you know he also wants to control the weather? No, really. Bill Gates wants to control the weather too. Bored with PCs, Bill Gates sets his sights on controlling the weather. Microsoft's chairman is part of a joint patent filing for using fleets of vessels to stop hurricanes via geoengineering. So years ago, Bill Gates filed a patent to geoengineer hurricanes, but if you suggest geoengineering is a thing, even though it is, you could look it up all over the place. But if you say it, once again, it's a conspiracy theory. I mean, what a kooky idea, besides the fact that it's happening and the media just doesn't talk about it. Since 2009, it's not clear how far he's gotten on this patent or program, but when you're not allowed to even talk about it, it's hard to really tell. He also wants to block out the sun. Harvard scientists begin experiment to block out the sun. A group of Harvard scientists plan to tackle climate change through geoengineering by blocking out the sun. Of course, with the help and funding of Bill Gates. And they even mention here, while the potential negative effects are not fully characterized, like with a lockdown, they say you should be banned on Facebook or you can't talk about the negative consequences of a lockdown. I mean, how dare you use your brain and mention any negative effects? I mean, of course there are negative effects, but you're not allowed to say it. Just stay inside, wear your mask, lose your job, lose your gym, and if you question anything, you're a conspiratorial Trump supporter or something. I don't know what they're telling people nowadays. I mean, it's so blatantly dumb and obvious, but whatever. So genetically modifying mosquitoes, controlling the weather. What else is Bill Gates doing? Before I tell you the third, let's look at 2019 lobbying. In 2019, the pharmaceuticals and health products industry in the United States spent the most on lobbying efforts, totaling to about $295.17 million US. So the pharmacy industry are the biggest lobbyists, and pretty much everybody knows lobbyists go to Congress to get their way with the law. It's essentially for decades been known as a bribe. When lobbyists do it and when Congress is involved, you're allowed to talk about it. I mean, the media just talks about the NRA and all their lobbying money all the time, but you're not allowed to suggest that other people are doing it. I mean, how dare you? But now that we know that the most lobbying money goes to the pharmacy industry, how much has Bill Gates spent on global health? Over the first 20 years of its existence, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation spent $53.8 billion on its various programs. $39.8 billion of that money went to global development and global health programs. He loves that global stuff. Within the last year, he was not very happy that nationalism and leaders like Trump were turning back inward, focusing on themselves and trying to get away from the global power control structure that he helped build.
But in general, in that you have been a great beneficiary of globalization and you have been a great sponsor of it and a defender of it. Are you worried about it at the moment?
More than I was 5 years ago, yeah. And it's not just the U.S. I mean, the U.K. is very interesting, and the turning inward. Is it cyclical? Because you're always going to have populism come along. The elites, in some ways, will overplay their hand, and you're going to cycle. Or is it secular and it's going to stay that way? I think all of us, come to forums like this seeking insight into, what will turn this around.
But yeah, you get it. He's spending a lot of money on global health. Vox wrote an article in 2015, "The media loves the Gates Foundation. These experts are more skeptical." What? You're allowed to be an expert and disagree with Dr. Fauci or Bill Gates? I mean, how dare any expert ever question the holy Bill Gates? I mean, you have to agree with him, right? He's the best. Well, Vox talked about it. There's no doubt the Gates Foundation has had a profound impact on global health. $42.9 billion worth of endowments, roughly double the GDP of Uganda. The Gates Foundation spends more on global health every year than most countries. But you cannot question where that money's going. You cannot question his integrity and his agenda. He means well. He's the best. He's here to save the world, and if you question him, you're a horrible, bad, terrible conspiracy theorist who needs to be censored on all social media. But Vox can do it, other journalists can do it, but you better watch your mouth. Let him control the weather, block the sun, genetically modify mosquitoes, and don't ask any questions. So when it comes to global health, he has his hands in almost literally everything. Most vaccine companies, most pharma companies, most World Health Organization, global cabals of medical and societal control, which is as interesting as Event 201, which happened in 2019, a soft simulation of a coronavirus pandemic. Thank goodness the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, John Hopkins, and World Economic Forum was on it. World Economic Forum, who hosts Davos every year, where George Soros had warned Trump the economy's coming down. It's amazing. These people have great foresight. But besides health, Bill Gates also has his hands all over the media. Seattle Times somehow was allowed to, I don't even know how they were allowed to do this, wrote an article in 2011, Does Gates' funding of the media taint objectivity? A recent Seattle Times analysis found that the Gates Foundation has spent nearly $70 million on direct grants to media organizations or for media training and research in an effort to boost and shape coverage of global health and development issues. How nice of Bill Gates. As he's taking over virtually the entire world and the health industry, he's also paying off and training media to think exactly how he thinks. What a nice guy. Wow. He leaves no stone unturned. They said, did you catch ABC's recent special on an incubator to boost preemie survival in Africa and the new machine to diagnose tuberculosis in the developing world? Perhaps you saw Ray Suarez's 3-part series on poverty and AIDS in Mozambique on the PBS NewsHour, or listen to Public Radio International's piece on the rationing of kidney dialysis in South Africa. Beyond their subject matter, these reports have something else in common. They were all bankrolled by the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. They're so nice. Wow. You can do your own research and find all the other news conglomerates that Bill Gates gives money to. But once again, don't question anything he's doing. Believe everything you hear on the television and the media. And it's a cardinal sin to dare suggest his worldview isn't your worldview. You're not allowed to have your own opinion. Just stay locked down, wear a mask until he tells you not to. Don't question any motives. But it is helpful to know those 4 things that most people don't know that Bill Gates is doing. God bless you guys. Have a beautiful day. And if you like these hats, I have them available on Dream Rare, made in the United States of America. And while other people play God and reject God, I like to promote it on my merch. Have a good day.
Pray to God, pray to God. Yeah. Pray to God, pray to God. Yeah.